Hello, everyone. Well, I'm sure that you have been encouraged by what has been going on so far, and I just hope that what I'm going to say will also bring you some encouragement. And in a way, I shall be acting a little bit as an Ukrainian ambassador, because I'm going to talk quite a bit about Ukraine. However, before I come to this, I have prepared this PowerPoint presentation, so forgive me if I don't make a too short introduction, but I just would like to use my time in the best possible way. And just let me share a few information, pieces of information. When I was writing or sending out some letters at the beginning of September, and also sharing some news with Derek, I wrote this. The date was the September the 7th. Half a year down the road and the war in Ukraine is still going on. People are being killed, and there are those who do not want to share the same fate, and those who do not want to share the same fate are fleeing their homes. Where are they going? Most to the western part of the country, and for example, the population of Lviv, still in Ukraine, has tripled since the start of the war, from 700,000 to more than 2 million. Some decide to travel further on and cross borders of the neighboring countries, and this is how they get to Poland. You may have seen these pictures. They have been taken by a friend of mine at the Polish-Ukrainian border, exactly in the town of Zoshin. And since the beginning of the war, which is February the 24th, up to the date, which was September the 7th, more than 6 million Ukrainians crossed Polish border. But it was more than a month ago. I just updated this figure, and according to our board guard, by last night, actually this morning, 6 million turned to 7,370,000 Ukrainians crossed our border since the beginning of war. And they keep coming, and they keep coming. Because on September the 7th, I continued in my letter. Only yesterday, which was September the 6th, according to the Polish board guard, 22,500 new Ukrainian refugees arrived in Poland. But the figure from yesterday, or actually this morning, yesterday, which was the 28th of October, 25,900 Ukrainians arrived in Poland. And up to 7 a.m. this morning, another 7,800. But, having said that, yesterday Poland left 24,000 Ukrainians, went back to Ukraine, and altogether over 5,547,000 Ukrainians went back to Ukraine since February the 24th. As reported by United Nations, a total of more than 12 million people have already left Ukraine since the February 24th, and there are currently more than 7 million refugees from Ukraine in Europe. Most of them have been traveling through Poland, and the vast majority decide to stop here for longer, some for good. A few examples of those who came to Piotrków. By the way, it's still the border pictures taken by my friend. So it was horrible. And just some faces of some people who were traveling through Piotrków and decided to stop in Piotrków. It's about 200 miles from the border, which is more than 300 kilometers. This is Natasha with her 2 boys. She's from Kramatorsk. This is Lena with her 3 children. Actually, they have 5 children from Nizhyn near Chernihiv. This is Ina and her little daughter Eva from Zhytomyr. They are Svetlana, 67, and Olga, 42, from Kiev. They are Katarina and Irina from Zhytomyr. This is Katarina and her 12-year-old boy, Roman. And this is Lila. By the way, Lila is not a born-again Christian. We gave her New Testament in Ukrainian language, and she started reading this for the first time. But this is, again, Lila and Katarina having new friends. This is Tatiana and Nicola from Severodonetsk. This is Ludmila with her children. And this is Lena on the right. And, this is Tatiana on the right, and her daughter Lera. And Matthew, 3.5-year-old boy who is autistic. And on the right-hand side, you can see an explosion debris that Lera took from the street next to her, to their flat. She brought it to Poland, and I took it in my hand, actually, and weighed it. It was a heavy piece of metal. These people have suffered the horror of real war. And more than 6 months ago, as a local church, we faced a huge challenge. How can we best show our Christian love to our Ukrainian neighbors? How to meet the sea of need with only a few drops we had? The answer turned out to be very simple. Share what you have and do it by faith in the name of Jesus. So we opened our homes and our hearts to those in need. And suddenly, what we thought was little got miraculously multiplied in order to bless many. The biblical principle proved to be true yet again. By faith, bring to God what you have and leave the rest to Him. We didn't need to wait long for the fruit. Ukrainians responded with the immense gratitude. Now, when I think about this, one passage from the Bible comes to my mind. This is Galatians 6, and we read from verse 7, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whatever or whoever sows to please the flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we'll reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers," which is the NIV translation. But our Polish translation is very close to King James translation, and it says, "especially unto them who are the household of faith." And it was really our key when we accepted some Ukrainian refugees into our church building or into our church. We wanted just to give our assistance first of all to the household of faith. And our little church fellowship has been taking care of about 40 Ukrainian refugees on a regular basis, mainly women and children, but we have provided our assistance to hundreds more. 15 of them live in our still partly unfinished church building. Our assistance is not limited just to some financial support. We help, among other things, with learning Polish language. And here's the example of this. This is taking place in our church interiors. We also help with providing food. This is our kids club that was turned into the food distribution center, also providing some clothing, food, some clothing. Again, this is part of our basement in the building that was turned into the clothing distribution center. Not just people that come to our church on a regular basis, but to other Ukrainian refugees, because we sort of spread out the news that if you need some food or some clothing, do come to our church building. Even some second-hand bikes we're able to provide. Okay, first accommodation. This is just one family. This is Lena again with her 3 boys plus 2 girls. This is in the middle Lena's mother, and this is Yuri, Lena's husband. He's a pastor. He's both a car mechanic and a pastor from the town of Nizhyn, near Chernihiv. The airport was bombed there, and they had to flee from. So it was really difficult to find accommodation for this family in Piotrków Trybunalski. Everybody was afraid, such a big family, yes. So they came to us and look, can we live in your church building, yes? We didn't have accommodation, we couldn't accommodate them all, but we have been thinking and praying and decided to renovate some rooms in the basement and furnish them, and this is where they were staying. Bikes I told you about, and just to help them get around the town on their own. We cover also some medical equipment for different people, and this is an example of Mirosława and her little daughter Amelia, who is sort of disabled, part of her body, left part, and we try to support some rehab sessions, which is done privately. So just a short story of what's going on in Piotrków Trybunalski is such, but not only do we help or give assistance to the people in Piotrków, the war victims, we also keep sending, we have been sending some humanitarian aid transports to Ukraine. And this is done through some, people that we know and that we trust, and who know some other Ukrainians on the other side of the border. So to make sure that this help, this assistance goes to the areas of need and is distributed in a fair way, as we hear that there is still so much corruption in Ukraine. And really, I don't have time, I could tell you such stories as well. So we got for free this warehouse, and where we can collect different stuff. We also, depending on the availability of the financial resources, we buy some food in bulk, is the expression. And this is Nicola on the left. He's Ukrainian. He has a little bus, and she travels one way or the other with goods. This is on the right. This is Igor. He's Ukrainian, but he's been with us for quite some years. He got saved in Zhytomyr. He used to be a drug dealer, and he was able to lie, not to tell truth in such a way that even his mother would not recognize. His mother is a member of the Baptist church in Zhytomyr. But Igor was wonderfully saved, and he has been such a great asset as far as helping out Ukrainian war victims, both in Poland, but especially in Ukraine, is concerned. So we have been shipping goods. Sometimes, it's a smaller van, sometimes it's a lorry. This is Maxim from Ukraine, who came in his lorry from Ukraine. We loaded the whole truck, and it went to Ukraine. We are in touch with a few Baptist churches in Ukraine. One is Zhytomyr, one is Lutsk, and one humanitarian foundation. This is on the left, is Andrushivka near Zhytomyr, where the goods are being distributed among people. This is a Baptist church in Zhytomyr, and this is again Andrushivka on the left. People queuing up to get some help, and this is how the goods are distributed. This lady, you can see just half of her face, is Vera Grinishina, who is like head of the Andrushivka Help Center, and they have been doing a great job, by the way. She wrote to me some months ago, actually it was in April. Dear helpers and volunteers, it is impossible to realize fully in what terrible reality the Ukrainian people are found now. Who could think or even imagine that in the 21st century, thousands of people in the center of Europe can be without food, water, and the main necessary resources for living, This was written in April this year. The beastliness of the occupants is incomparable with the most awful horrors which have ever happened on the earth. In these cruel times, the Ukrainians, in spite of all hardships, have proved that their firmness of spirit is impossible to break or destroy. Thousands of people have become volunteers, and every moment they do their best to save other people's lives, and they have been doing it for weeks already. But it's getting harder and harder with every single day. It's not easy to resist the demonic tyrants when children suffer from hunger, their mothers suffer from cold, and the elderly people die because of the lack of necessary medicine. This war takes away more and more of our strength every day, but our people do not give up and struggle for life, for our life and freedom. This is the main reason why I would like to thank every volunteer for the humanitarian help which you give. When we see that you care and are not indifferent, that the world needs and takes care of us, our thirst for struggle is getting stronger. We find the strength to go on working and fighting even when they seem to run out. Without you, because I'm just like a mediator between Vera and people here. Without you, Vera is writing, the people who have become our humanitarian defenders, we could not survive. You are the ray of sunlight in this awful hell for us, and we will never forget it. Thanks a lot. This is the hospital in Chudniv, where we also sent, and this is some help, and this is Pastor Yuri Lanovyuk from Zhytomyr in Ukraine. On the right-hand side is a family. This is the family Shevchenko, and just the short story of this family. This is the family Shevchenko. Pastor Yuri says all 6 of the children are orphans and are in a foster family. The foster father was tortured and murdered by Russians. The mother Ludmila has been left alone. Much of their village was destroyed by shelling and their windows blown out by a grenade. The family was able to come west of Kiev, and they are currently living in Ivanica near my house. However, there are still Russians missiles being shot into the area and no schools are open. This was written in March. In Bilka, a quiet windswept hamlet just outside Trostianist, where the Russians based more than 200 vehicles, at least 2 people were executed. Alexander Kulbala, a pig farmer who protested against the takeover of his barn, was shot on the spot on March the 2nd, and the day Russians arrived in the village. Mykola Sevchenko, the father of this family, a kindly electrician with a handlebar mustache who, together with his wife Ludmila, had 6 foster children, went out on the first morning to find somewhere to charge his and his wife's mobile phones because of the electricity was already down. "I'm just popping out for 5 minutes," he told her. He never came back. Ludmila stood outside her home, weeping on Monday, holding a stamped death report from the police that explained in neat handwriting that her husband had been brutally tortured and then killed with a shot to the heart and 1 to the head. An inspection found broken bones in his fingers and arms. "I didn't say anything to the children because they were small and they still don't understand everything. Every day they waited for their dad to come home, but he never did. Yesterday I said to them, 'Sit down. I will explain everything,' she said." The youngest of her 6 children is 4, the eldest 11. They stood alongside her, lined up like nesting dolls, silent and confused. I'm reading what I have received from Pastor Yuri. This is also his English. And he came to Poland to get a second-hand bus. We loaded it with stuff. He took it back home. And this is the church in Zhytomyr, Baptist church, and this is his family. He himself adopted several children. In this picture, only 2 children are of his own. He has 2 more that you cannot see in the picture that he fosters. And when we asked, what else can we do to help you out? He said, "Look, shall we buy some food for you, or maybe..." And he called his elders. He said, "Look, if possible, can we get some money? Then I can take it home and I can buy some food which will be cheaper." So We prayed, we talked, we prayed. We gave him some money. He went home, bought some chickens, and then he distributed the chickens among people. And very briefly, the last place, this is the town of Lutsk. There is this Baptist church called Fimian. A literal translation, it means incense, or maybe I should say aroma. And they have this retreat center on the outskirts of the town where they use it for, different activities. But now they turned this into like a hostel for all those refugees from eastern part of Ukraine. And they get, some food and feed the people, more than 100 right now. They also asked us for some help, and we were able to send some money that we received from you, brothers and sisters, through the SGA office. And Pastor Pavlo, the one on the left here earlier, so they tried to build some more houses, and he wrote this about this lady. Actually, it's her words translated into English. My name is Victoria. I'm a widow. I'm the mother of 2 children, Veronica, 15 years old, an adopted orphan, and Emmanuel, 4 years old. We are from Kramatorsk, Donetsk region. On February 23rd, 22, we woke up from the horror we heard and felt. We were hiding with our children in the basement. We managed to reach the evacuation train, and the children and I arrived in Lutsk city. We lived in the dormitory for 2 months, but at the end of the summer, it was the time to prepare the dormitory for upcoming school students, and we were asked to vacate the rooms. I asked a prayer group on Facebook to pray about my family so the Lord would help us with housing and food. 2 suitcases were all that I and my children had at that time. I had been waiting for payments from the government for more than 4 months. One woman reached out to me through Facebook post and gave me a number to a pastor from Kiev. We prayed together, and he told me that there is a retreat center in the Volyn region and that I should go there. I found the address of the retreat center on the internet and called. I was told that they would be able to accept us and that they would drive us from Lutsk to that place. Thank God I live in a retreat center with my children now. We are very grateful to everyone who helped us get to this place and who help orphans and widows. May the Lord bless everyone abundantly. We are grateful to the foundation for helping with buying warm clothes and school supplies. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. This is one of many testimonies of many other people, and just because of lack of time, I'm not going to tell them more. This is the last picture, because Pavlo, who is on the right in this blue gown or whatever, he writes this. And again, I'm sort of expressing his heart, which is much more, his words are directed into you than to us, as I believe we are mainly a postman, a deliverer of the resources that come from you. He says, brother, we are sincerely grateful to you for supporting us financially, and we have been able to provide the people with the necessary things. And I also ask you to pray for the Lord, to pray that the Lord gives us success in spiritual work, and we can see more fruit of our labor, so that more people can repent, believe, and be baptized. And please pray that the Lord will help us to complete the construction of 12 houses for refugees. Thank you very much.